Hey everybody, Dr. Chris from Human 2.0, and today I'm going to be taking you through a mobility and strength workout for a healthy back. You won't require any equipment other than a mat and some space on the floor for you to move around. I'm going to show you several variations of each exercise so you can scale up or scale down the exercises that I'm performing in accordance with your current level of mobility and strength. So the first thing that we need to do is to get ourselves warmed up. And we're going to use a little bit of primal movement to do that. So the first exercise that we're going to do is a low knees bear crawl. Now for this exercise, you want to make sure you have your shoulder stacked over top of your hands. And you want to try to keep your knees within 1 inch of the floor at all times. And we're trying not to drag our hands or feet. We're trying to pick them up across as we move across the floor. And then we'll move back. And one more time each way. And really try to place your hands and your feet deliberately so that you're keeping everything as controlled as possible. Excellent work. So now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a bird dog hold, and we're going to try to hold that for 15 seconds. And with a bird dog, again, just as with the bear crawl, we want to have our shoulders stacked over our elbows and our wrists, and we want to try to have a 90-degree angle at our hips and a 90-degree angle at the knees as well. And to perform the bird dog, you're going to lift one arm to 90 degrees and the opposite leg to 90 degrees. And you can point the toe, point the hand, and hold this. That's 10 seconds right there. And then we're going to switch. And you're really trying to squeeze your upper back, your lower back, and your glutes all at the same time to keep this straight line. And as we're doing this, you're going to kind of shoot your gaze down towards the floor in front of you so that we don't have too much extension or flexion in our necks. We're going to do that one more time each side for 15 seconds. That's 5 seconds. That's 10 and 15. You should start to feel your shoulders and your glutes warming up. Opposite side. That's 5, 10, 15. And clearly with that exercise, there is a little bit of balance involved. So that exercise is great for activating not only your upper and lower back, but also your core abdominals as well, as you try to keep your body stable and keep it tight and not rocking from side to side. Okay, so the next exercise that we're going to do for a warm-up before we get started is going to be a slow cat-cow. And for this exercise, we want to make sure that as we perform these movements, we're going to cycle back and forth a few times through each movement. You want to initiate with your low back first. So, again, always try to come back to this stacked position, nice and stable, pressing down with our hands, keeping the floor, pushing the floor away, and we have our elbows turned towards the front, the antecubital fossa. And what we're going to do is, starting with the low back, we're going to sink down, try to bring our belly to as close to the floor as possible. This is the cow position. And then using our tailbone to initiate the movement, then we're going to start to come up and try to bring our upper body as far away from the floor or as close to the ceiling as possible. Again, keeping our arms stacked, elbows towards the front. And then one more time, we're going to come down into the cow position, really trying to drive our belly towards the floor and have as much extension in our back as possible. And then initiating from the tailbone, bringing that up, and then way through to the upper, in our upper back. We're going to push all the way up to the ceiling as far as possible. And let's do that one more time for good measure. Sink down, keep those arms straight. Looking ahead, bring that belly down to the floor as best as you can. And then initiating from the tailbone. And then coming all the way up. And then back to a neutral position. Excellent work. So that's the cat-cow. So we've used those movements to kind of start to get our shoulders, hips, knees working, and to start to bring some blood flow and some warmth into the muscles that we're going to be working. So that's it for the warm-up. So the first exercise that we're going to do is called a Superman hold or an arched body hold. And for this, we need to lay in a prone position. And as we perform this exercise, you're going to try to hold for 60 seconds if possible. Initially, that's not going to be possible, and you're going to only be able to do it for maybe 15 seconds or 30 seconds, but the goal is eventually to work up to holds of at least 60 seconds. And for this exercise, the standard way that I'm going to show you is that you're going to put both arms out in front of you and both feet pointed in the opposite direction. And ideally, when we're trying to make this as clean a movement as possible, we want to try to keep our arms approximately shoulder width apart, straight arms. And as we perform this exercise, it's very important that we want to minimize the strain on our low back. So to do this exercise, we're going to reach as far away as possible, but at the same time, as we bring our feet up off the ground, we're going to squeeze our glutes together tight, 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 because that's what's going to protect your low back. So here we're going to get into position, put your head down, and then we're going to squeeze and reach the arms away as far as possible. Keep the toes together and reach them as far as possible. And that's 10, 15, 20, 25, and that's 30. So that's a 30-second hold. Now, as difficult as that may be for some of you, we're trying to work our way up to 60-second holds. But 15 to start, and then work your way up there. 30 is sort of intermediate level, and that's good. So the next exercise that we're going to do is called the Glute Bridge walkout. So for this, you need to be in a supine position, and we're going to start out with our hands roughly just outside of our hips and with the palms flat on the floor. We want to keep the arms, the upper extremities nice and loose. We don't want to use them to push. Obviously, if you can't do this at all, then you can use them as an assist. But generally speaking, we want to do this all with the legs. And so from this position, we have our knees roughly at a little more than 90. And what we're going to do is we're going to squeeze our glutes together, lift our buttocks up off the mat, and we're going to try to drive our pelvis as far towards the ceiling as possible. And so this is the start of the movement. and this is called a glute bridge. But from this position, what we're going to do is slowly walk out, trying as long as possible to keep our buttocks off the floor. And so as we do this, you're going to feel it in your buttocks, then into your hamstrings, the further you get away, further your feet get away from your body. So once again, we'll come into this position, and you can walk out, or you can slide out. Both are acceptable variations. All right? So let's do a few repetitions without all the talking. Up, walk, walk. And one more. Nice. So that's the glute bridge walkout. And most definitely, you are going to feel that in your buttocks and into your hamstring. And you won't need to do very many of those before you feel those muscles getting lit up. All right, so let's move on to the next exercise. So the next exercise that we're going to do is a plank with a shoulder tap. And there are two levels that you can do this. So if you are just beginning, you can start out with a plank where you are on your elbows and you're not fully extended. And so we're going to do a plank with a shoulder tap, so you can tap, 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 and you can do that from the fully extended position, or if you're just a beginner and you're having trouble, you can go from your knees. Same thing, start from the elbow, tap, tap, tap. But as you get stronger and we want to make this more difficult, we can then go up to a full plank position where we are now fully extended. Our arms are fully extended. We put our feet a little bit apart for stability. And we're trying to keep the rocking motion as little as possible. We're trying to keep everything as tight and as still as possible, except for the arms. If I show you from face on, this is what it should look like. So that's 10 plank shoulder taps right there. So you can choose the variation that is appropriate to your level of strength. And lastly, the last exercise that we're going to do is a slow table rotation. And after we've done all 4 exercises, we're going to go through that cycle 2 more times, but without all the talking. All right, so for the table rotation, we have to get first into the table position. So to do that, we're going to place both hands behind us, fingers out nice and wide, feet roughly shoulder width apart. And first, we're going to get into this table position. But then from here, we're going to reach over with one palm and then switch over into a bear crawl position. And then we're going to reach over and back into a table position. If we go the opposite way, now we're going to reach across, bring that leg underneath, square ourselves back up into the bear position, switch hands, step through, back up into a table position, and that would be 2 reps, 1 in each direction. So for this exercise, we will probably do 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 in each direction. So now that we've gone through and I've shown you what the exercises are, we're going to go through that whole thing and we're going to go through it twice, without all the talking, and we're just going to get to work. All right, so let's start. Superman hold, pick the variation that's appropriate for you, and let's go. 30-second hold. 3, 2, 1. That's 10. 20. 30. Now, let's go right away to the glute bridge walkouts. We're going to do 6 reps. Let's go. Two more. One more. Excellent. So, foot back over, plank, shoulder tap, and we'll do 10 taps. Pick your poison. 9, 10. There we go. And finally, we're going to do our slow table rotations. All right? And let's do 3 in each direction. That's 3. Now let's go back in the opposite direction. There we go. 3 in each direction. Grab yourself a drink and we'll go through one more time from the top. Prone position, arms out, Superman hold. 3, 2, 1, go. Ten. 20. 30. Whew. All right. And what do we got next? Oh, yes. Our glute bridge walkouts. 6 reps. Three. 2 more. Last one. All right. And our slow table rotations, 3 in each direction. And the opposite direction. And one more. Six, 3 in each direction, 6 in total. Nice work. All right, so that is your strength and mobility workout for a healthy back. But of course, we need to cool down. So let's stretch out the muscles that we've been utilizing for that workout. For stretch here, we want to stretch out those muscles of the lower extremity, in particular the muscles around the low back and the glutes. So we're going to do a figure 4. You're going to lay back and you're going to have your knees roughly at 90. We'll take one leg across. I'll take my left leg, cross over, place the ankle just below the knee, and then I'm going to reach through and grab the knee and then pull that knee to the chest while I'm keeping my low back glued to the mat. And you're going to have a little bit of rounding down here. Your glutes will be off, but that's okay. And you should be feeling this exercise along the side of the glute on the leg that is crossed over. So in this particular case, I'm feeling it in my left leg, helping to stretch the glutes, helping to stretch out the short external rotators, which were very active for this workout. So of course, those muscles are going to be a little bit tight, a little bit salty. We're going to switch it over. Right leg goes over. Press that knee away. Reach through and grab the opposite knee or the bent knee. Bring that as close as you can towards the chest. And always, while we're working through these stretches, we want to try to regain control of our breathing. So we're going to breathe nice and slowly in through our nose, and then a nice slow exhalation out through our mouth. Working to slow down the heart rate. One more time, crossover, left over right, reach through, pull close. This time, try to bring that knee a little bit closer to the chest for a little bit deeper stretch. And then switch. And then relax. And then we're going to sit up. And then we're going to do a nice straddle. And we're just going to do some straddle holds here. So you want to try and bring your legs as wide apart as you can. So at least a 90-degree angle. If you can get wider than that, then that's great. And we're going to try to sit up on the bones or our sits bones here. So we don't want to be curled. We want to try and sit tall. We want to try to externally rotate our feet. So keep our feet up or even angled backwards. And then we want to try to bring our belly as close to the floor as possible. We don't want to round and bring it through our chest. We want to sit up nice and tall and try to bring our belly to the floor. And as we do this, what you want to do is breathe in through your nose, and then as you exhale, try to relax into this stretch. And then you should be feeling this inside your adductors along the inside of your thigh, and then also the hamstrings at the back of the leg. And we're just going to relax. And when we do this, I want you to touch your quadricep, the muscle on the front of your thigh, because this muscle should be nice and soft, while the muscle behind should have all the tension. So nice and soft quads, but your hamstrings are tight. Just hold this position. I'll try to rotate those feet out. Try to keep those toes up towards the ceiling. And walk yourself back up. Bring those legs in. Give them a hug. Excellent work. You guys were phenomenal today. I hope you had a nice workout for your back. Once again, that was a mobility and strength workout for a healthy back. And if you're looking for lots of great workouts and exercise tips such as what we did here today, then don't forget to join us for free right here on YouTube, Human 2.0 Fitness, where we help you move better and prevent injury. Thanks for watching.